God stood beside me. I swore an oath to my countrymen and kin. Side by side we sang our anthem oh so proudly. And this is where a soldier's tale begins. We left for foreign shores in the name of freedom, comrades in arms for the liberty of man. Shoulder to shoulder, but still could not redeem them in God's name, but no one could understand.
Hello and welcome to the Late Night Veteran Show, episode 77. We got Gareth here, our co-host, myself, Darren, Edmundson, the owner of the show, and David Miles, a license to heal. David's been on the show before. This is his second time on the show, but we're going to go through a couple of updates. So I just wanted to say Gareth's setting up a PTSD camp in Pembrokeshire. If you want to explain a little bit about that.
Basically, we're just trying to set up a camp where people can come, veterans can come, and they can rest, and they can either air their concerns and get the help they need, or just basically just sit and rest, have a cup of tea. What I've noticed since leaving the military is veterans like to talk to veterans. We are a different breed, so to speak. We're wired in a certain way, and people open up a bit better when it comes to talking to other veterans. I did. So again, it's just getting back out into nature and making sure that veterans can talk to each other, so we can try and help veterans get out of the mess in their head, if that makes sense.
So last Sunday we went to a fete in Hook, which Bodger, we know her as. She's a female veteran. She organised the stand there, and there's a picture there of me and Gareth with the fete and the prizes there. What was the total raise, Gareth?
We raised in total between card and cash donations £549. Yeah,
thank you. So thank you to everybody that took part in that, and everybody that's donated on the GoFundMe. Also, just one more update: it is a sponsored walk from Bolton to Swansea, 240 miles. It's in July. It's to raise money for the PTSD Pembrokeshire camp. So if anybody wants to get involved, that's by one of our ambassadors, Liam Abbott. So if anybody wants to get involved with that, please let us know.
Just like to say thank you to the guys in Hook as well. If you can just show how I celebrated at the beach. Yeah. This is me celebrating at the beach after the good day in Hook. So thank you very much for all your donations, and it's gone through a good cause. Thank you.
So now we are going to pass you over to David Miles, license to heal. David, there he is in the picture. To be the person you want to be, you need to obsess about making a positive change. So please follow David. He's on Facebook, TikTok, and other platforms. His name's David Miles. David, take it away.
Thank you. Before we came on, I was having a chat with Gareth and Darren, and I was on this show about 4 weeks ago, and I asked them how many people roughly had watched this episode in different platforms. And we worked out it's about 18,000 people. So I'm hoping that as I say hello to you all again, many of you will have come back from a few weeks ago because you found it useful and you thought you'd come back again. I'll keep track of the numbers. If it stays like that or it grows, then I'll keep coming back as long as you guys find this useful. So I work basically, if you haven't met me before on here or seen any of my videos on Facebook or TikTok, I work with individuals, teams and organizations to remove mental blockers, to improve performance, and most importantly, help people regain control of how they think and they feel. A big part of that is helping people with anxiety, stress, PTSD, bad habits, confidence, many other things. And 20 years ago, I suffered from PTSD and anxiety. So I've kind of seen this from both sides. I've experienced the help that I now give people, and equally I've given people that help. So that's the bit about me if we've not met. Today what I really want to do is give you some tools that you can use immediately to manage reactions when they happen. Now, there's going to be a lot of learning points. We're going to flash them all up on the screen as we go along. I would suggest if you haven't already, listen to me, but just go and grab a pen and paper. If you're watching this and it's not live, you can pause it, go and get a pen, go and get a piece of paper. And you're going to want to write some of this down. And there's a lot of reasons why you should do that. The first thing is, because there's a lot of learning points, Just don't try and memorize them. Write them down, grab a pen and paper, watch back on the channel, because repetition really does work. Repetition builds new habits, better habits. And hopefully the learnings that you'll get from this episode will mean that if you're struggling, they'll help. If you know somebody that's struggling, you can refer them to this. And also, importantly, as much as I'm very proud to work with Darren and Gareth and the rest of the team with veterans, this will absolutely help people that are struggling with all of those things I mentioned that aren't veterans. So if you've got someone in your life that's struggling a little bit with any kind of anxiety or negative mental health issues, this should help them too, as well. So the starting point always with this, I just want to be really clear about something early on. That anxiety and PTSD are not weaknesses. They're not a lack of control. They're actually a pattern that you have learned to follow through some experiences that you've had. And it's your nervous system basically doing exactly what it's been trained to do, just not always in the right environment anymore. Now, in military life, that system keeps you alive. Fast reactions, no hesitation, and pattern recognition means that you can survive really awkward circumstances. But when you leave that environment, that system doesn't automatically switch off. So the same patterns can just start firing in situations where they're no longer useful to you anymore. So what I hope to do with you now, and what I do with clients I work with, is help people understand those patterns, but more importantly, change them so that they're no longer controlled by them. And as Darren alluded to, I post probably 4 or 5 times a week on Darren's page for Late Night Veterans. That I've got my own platforms. And today what we're going to do is going to build on some of the stuff that we covered in episode 74 on here. So if you haven't seen episode 74, it might be worth going back and revisiting that and then coming back and maybe watching this again. So as you can tell, I've got some sneaky notes here that are going to fall over. Before we go any further, let's just set some expectations. So today we're going to focus on how you can control how you feel in the moment. I'm going to give you some tools that you can use immediately when reactions happen. When I work with clients, we don't just manage reactions, we go back to the root cause and remove that pattern completely. So you stop having to manage patterns again and again because they just no longer exist. Today is different. Today is actually giving you something that will just control it in the moment. I'm honest with this. This is not going to get rid of it in the long term. What it will do is give you some kind of mechanism that in the moment, in the time, if you're feeling crap, these things I go through will help you. I love dealing with the root cause with human beings because that means you just don't cope better. You actually just stop those reactions happening at all. For today, though, treat this a bit like a briefing that you're probably all used to. It's not a talk, so you can get a pen, get a paper, because remember, what you write down, you train yourself, and what you don't, you lose. So we're going to cover, breaking it down, we're going to cover how patterns are formed and how triggers are created, why the reactions that you get feel very instant, why your body reacts before you think, and how you can interrupt that in real time. And that's the significant part. So there's a bit of understanding, then there's a chunk of actually, how do you interrupt those reactions and how do you install control instead of a previous reaction that you might have experienced. This isn't theory, this works, and this is how you take control under pressure. And if we get time, I believe we've got a few questions that people have sent in through the Facebook group. We'll address a couple of those as well. So the first learning point. So most people will listen, understand, and agree. So you watching this tonight, or whenever you're watching it on the replay, you'll listen to it, you'll understand it, and you'll nod a lot and you'll agree. But quite often, nothing changes. People will often sit there and go, that makes sense, and then they'll do nothing with it. So your choice tonight is to do something with this stuff. Because if you don't, you've just had a nice hour sitting there watching this show. But actually, to make a difference, you've got to go and do something, because understanding it isn't enough. Now, your brain will never change just through awareness. Just by understanding something changes nothing in the unconscious and nothing in the brain. They change, the unconscious in your brain changes through processing and through repetition and doing something and doing it over and over again. That's why I've asked you to write stuff down, because when you write something down, you slow your thinking, you organize the idea, and you translate it into your own words, and that embeds it deeper. So the first learning that I'd like to give you tonight, and if you could just bring up the first picture, please, Darren.
If I go the right way around.
That's it, really. It's quite simple. Is learning one is, if I write it, I'll use it. To actually give yourself the best chance of utilizing anything we go through today. Yeah, you can keep watching the video, or you can keep, as you're watching this live, you can replay it. Actually writing it down in the language that you use is going to be really useful. So please, please, if you've decided you're going to make a change tonight, write that down. If I write it, I will use it. Thank you. That can go now, Darren. Yep. And some things happen to you when you go through this kind of whole process of feeling a bit crappy. I guess this is the second learning point, that when pressure hits you, your brain does not stop and think logically. It doesn't weigh up options, and it runs what it knows. It runs what it's done in the past, what it's repeated in the past, and what it's practiced in the past, and what it's experienced before. So if you've experienced anxiety, depression, or PTSD, or an adverse reaction to anything, then actually when pressure hits, all your brain does is says, what do I do that I've done before, that I've practiced a lot and I've experienced? And it replays it for you. And that's why people say things like, actually, I don't know why I reacted like that. And it's not confusion, it's actually conditioning, because over time you've practiced and rehearsed it. And the horrible thing about our brains and our unconscious, where all of our memories and all of our emotions are stored, is that it gets better at running the pattern. So you could have had a little bit of anxiety or a small amount of a reaction to an episode in your service that actually maybe 3 or 4 years ago was okay. But over time, it's gradually got bigger and bigger as your unconscious and your brain have practiced it more and more and more. And it's got better at doing your problem for you. So the second part of the understanding, as I said, building up to actually giving you some ways that you can actually break this pattern. The second part of the understanding, if you can bring up the second slide, please, or the second image, please, is please write this down and understand and recognize that under pressure, I act based on past learnings. Every human being does it. You've just had some potentially extreme circumstances more than most. But under pressure, I act on my past learnings. That's really important to understand, because if you accept that you actually have acted on your past learnings, then surely you're accepting that you can learn new things and you can get new learnings. And then under pressure, you can act based on the new learnings rather than the past ones. And that's where we're starting to get to this evening. That can come down again. Thanks, matey. The one other thing that I'm going to ask you to do, and again, this is your choice, but it'll be a good choice you make. And any feedback you can give to Darren or to me on each of these graphics that come up, it's got my email address underneath the actual point. To be here, you probably know the Late Night Veterans Facebook page. It'd be interesting to know your experiences with doing some of these activities. But as well as some learnings, I'm going to ask you to do a few things. You can do them or not do them. This is your choice. But if you want things to improve, I would suggest you do them. So what I would like you to do, and if you could bring up the next graphic, please, mate, is this week, I'd like you to identify one reaction that you don't like about yourself. One thing, one way that you always know you react. So things like, maybe you get angry if somebody criticizes you. Maybe if a car door slams, you just lose your crap and it takes you back to a time when you served. It could be anything of a reaction that you don't like. It can be someone criticizing you and you feel sad or upset. It could be that you see someone you met before that you think you let down and you get overwhelmed with guilt. Whatever the reaction is, and it doesn't have to be a huge one to start with, but whatever that reaction is, this week I'd like you to identify one reaction that you know you do consistently based on past learnings, one that you don't like, and now just accept that you've learned it, even if you don't know how you've learned it. But just accept that actually, if afterwards you can realize that it's a reaction you didn't like or don't like, it's got to be something that's learned and coming through your unconscious part of the brain, because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. So even if you don't know how, initially, I'd just like you to think now or during the week, a reaction you don't like, and accept that you've learned that from somewhere. It's your choice, your responsibility. This isn't about shifting blame onto people abroad or in other areas of your life. You own this. It's your bag to change, not anybody else's. But accept that you've learned that and been influenced. Because once you do that, that's the starting point for accepting that you can change it. Thanks, that can come down again. So these patterns. Now, anytime you're under pressure or anytime you experience something, you're not making fresh decisions in that moment. What you're doing is running these stored programs, running these stored patterns. And like I said, these patterns are built through repetition, emotion, and the meaning that you give that experience. And the more emotional that you experience that event, the stronger the pattern is that you're going to run. And once the pattern starts, typically it runs to its completion and then it stops. That's why reactions feel fast. That's why it feels like you've lost control. You haven't, but that's why it feels like it. And in the past, you've probably said that you can't stop it. In the past, you might have said, I can't stop it halfway. I've got to let it run its course. And to some people, that might mean you feel like crap for an hour. For some people I work with, it means that they haven't left the house for 3 months. So everybody has a different way of actually, or length that this experience, this feeling will go on for. But the other thing that you know is that it will go. At some point, it will go. Even the most extreme cases of PTSD and anxiety or self-harming or OCDs, eating disorders, everybody that I've met in 20 years of doing this, at some point, every day, the feeling isn't there. And if that feeling isn't there, even if it's for 5 minutes of every day, then you know it doesn't have to be there for the rest of the time. Because none of us are that special. It just means that you have got that control of it for 5 minutes. This is about taking that control over a longer period. So I guess the third learning point for this evening is that the situation doesn't create your reaction. So the car door banging, that isn't creating your reaction to an explosion when you served or a gunshot when you served. What it's actually doing is activating the stored response that you have to that noise. So it's not a play on words. It's neuroscience that the system isn't creating that feeling or that reaction. What it activates a stored response, and that's what gives you that feeling. And that's why two people can experience the same situation, but with completely different reactions. That tells you everything. Two veterans walking down the street, a car door shuts or slams or exhaust backfires, one carries on walking and one has a panic attack. Same experience, but the stored response between the two of them is very different. So the third learning point, now this will be the third learning point, I think, plus an action, is the next slide, please, Darren. And that is that your reactions or my reactions come from learned patterns. So I'd like you to write this down. And again, this is all building on stuff that one learning to another, one action to another. My reactions come from learned patterns, not the real situation. And I think that's really important to understand. And that's the same as whether you're just suffering from low-level anxiety in life, whether you're worried about going to work tomorrow or you're worried about whatever you worry about. It's really important to understand that your reactions come from learned patterns and not the real situation. And if you have a history of catastrophizing, then the very smallest thing that you experience will set off that learned pattern. And quite often I meet people and they say things like, I'm very anxious because if I don't hit this target at work, then I'll get sacked. If I get sacked, I won't be able to pay the mortgage. I lose the house, then my wife will leave me. She'll take the kids. I won't be able to see the kids, and I'll be homeless. I'll be living on the street, and I won't be able to eat. Then I'll start doing drugs. Then I'll start drinking, and then I'll overdose. I'll be in hospital, and I'll come out, and then I'm gone. I don't exist anymore. And that reaction that they get from that is because in their life, they have patterns where they have catastrophized things. It's not the real situation. They can go and get another job if they lose their job. They can change what they're doing to hit a target. The reactions are learned. They're not based on a real situation. And quite often it's very powerful to ask yourself, am I reacting now because of the real situation or something that happened in the past? Actually ask yourself that if you start feeling like you're going to a downward spiral is, am I reacting to the real situation now in the present, or am I reflecting or am I reacting to something that happened in the past? And it gives your brain and your unconscious a chance to answer it by saying, it's the past, because actually that was just a car backfiring. And your unconscious will answer the question for you. It's a really powerful question to ask to stop the pattern running. Is this real? Is this really happening right now, what I'm imagining? Is it the real situation, or is it just something I've learned from the past? And when you know that it's something you've just learned from the past, that gives you permission to move forward, whether it's take another step down the pavement, feeling calm, whether it's to go and hit a different target or get a different job. So that learning 3 is, all learnings are important. That one's really, really important. Remember, patterns are like the program that you run, and these things that people call triggers in every mental health forum, they're like the ignition switch. The patterns are running all the time within you, and the triggers are just something that just ignite it, the ignition switch. So that gives you a way of breaking the pattern running. And the more you do that, remember, the way you instill a habit until it becomes part of you and it becomes part of your unconscious is repetition. Keep doing the same thing over and over again until you actually do it without thinking. And the first way you do that is you recognize something happening that makes you feel awkward or in the past has made you feel like crap. Now you're just going to say to yourself, okay, let me just check, is this the real situation? Or is it something I'm reacting on from the past? And when you actually admit that it's not the real situation, then you can move forward and break the pattern. Okay, that can come down for a second, please, Darren, thank you. Okay, so I love this word, triggers. Everyone talks about triggers all the time on everything. I think now we use it as a justification for feeling like crap. I was triggered. Well, good luck with that, because if I think back in my life, how many people I've probably triggered, it doesn't bear thinking about. To explain what it is properly, rather than all the media bullshit. When people say a trigger, it's a link between something happening now and something you experienced before. That's all it is. It's just that link. Something's happening now and something that's happened before. And your brain recognizes similarity and it fires the same response before you can think about it, before you can choose. And that's why it feels instant. So that link is just something that happens now, it's similar to something you've experienced before. The brain recognizes similarity and it goes, wow, you should react exactly the same way as you did before because you're still here. So whatever you went through, you survived it. So it thinks it's helping you by saying, just react like you did before. And that is why it feels so quick and so instant. And when a trigger fires, it feels really real. I know it feels really real. And like I said to you 20 years ago, I struggled with this myself.
So David, can I just ask a quick question?
Okay.
Do you find that in veterans, when we're trained to react very quickly on the battlefield, do you find that veterans are more like susceptible to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you, I think from a vet, and I have worked with many veterans ranging with PTSD, ranging from missing limbs to seeing death, experiencing death, lots of different reasons for generating the PTSD. And I think you experience some things that I and many other people will never experience in our lives. And I think you're more susceptible because you're exposed to it. Anything you're exposed to over and over again, the likelihood of you becoming susceptible to it grows. So if you've been constantly under threat every day while you're in Iraq, Afghanistan, all different parts of the world that you get sent to, if every day you wake up feeling like you're under threat, when you come out of that environment, of course, it's far more likely that you're going to feel under threat because that's your experience and you've learned to feel like that every time when you wake up. I think almost without exception, every veteran I've seen over the last 20 years will tell me they wake up feeling like shit. It's not something that it grows. It can get worse during the day, but none of them have said to me, and I'm sure there are some out there, So forgive me if you're one of the exceptions watching, but they all to a T will say, I wake up and I feel like crap straight away. And actually, if you've had 3, 4, 5 years abroad, waking up every day with anxiety about, will I survive this day? Then just coming out and somebody going, well done, there's Civvy Street and here's a few quid in your pocket, go and live a life, isn't going to help.
Yeah, I think when I did the career transition workshop from leaving the military service to becoming a civilian, there was a stat being thrown around that most veterans go through 5 jobs before they actually settle. And that's probably because they're transitioning from that threat. That person shouting at me is no longer trying to kill me. They're just shouting at me because I'm messing with them. So therefore, I don't have to be so aggressive back to them. I can accept that and process it.
There's so many reasons. I mean, all of a sudden, you guys spent 22 years in the service, and all of a sudden you're set free and you've got to start thinking for yourself again. And you guys know, I mean, my dad served and stuff like that, and it's kind of, I'm very proud to do this as a charity thing, but it's kind of like there does come. I guess there comes a point where you actually go, do you know what? You guys don't get enough help when you come out, and everybody knows that. And I think it's tough for you because you've got to go. All of a sudden, you've got to go and find out stupid little things like. I mean, some of you will experience this. It's like, what do I do all day? I'm so used to being told where to be, when to go, or to do this. Now all of a sudden, I'm living in this flat somewhere that I don't know the area, and I've got to. What do I do? And actually, that's not insulting anyone's intelligence, but it's that programming you've had for an amount of years, whether it's 3 years or 22 years, that when you come out, you've got to learn again.
It's really great training for the job we do.
You've got to learn a different way of living again, like you had to be conditioned. Yeah. Well, you get really conditioned when you go in the army, but they don't really help you condition when you come out. You go on a course. Is it a week course? I can't remember now. You've been in the army for 22 years and you get a week.
I mean, somebody
that's never suffered.
It's going to take 22 years to reprogram my brain because I've been in there for 22 years. I'm like, what? Really? Like, seriously?
Yeah. No.
It's just making those positive steps, right?
But it is, and I think the thing is though, I'm a big fan of this phrase: is nothing changes until you change something. So you can sit in your flat and go, I don't know what to do all day. Or you can decide to do something. You can get some help. You can talk to friends, family, people. Hopefully they're still around you. I know it's tougher on your own, but you've still got to make a decision to go and do something. Because otherwise, I'll come on this 2 years' time. If you're right now, tonight, sitting on your couch watching this going, well, I haven't worked for a year and I haven't been out much, then actually, if you don't decide to do some of the stuff we're talking about tonight and decide to make a change, then you'll watch this in a year's time when I'm on here and you'll still be on the same couch. So, you've been really good in your lives for taking ownership and surviving. Actually, you've got all those skills that you can bring into this existence now outside of the army or outside of the military. So it's a really good shout, and helping you move away from that would be great. There's lots of things and I'm very non-political about everything, but all governments for the last 30 years could have done more to help you guys.
Can I just quickly say thank you to Jerry McKinnon for your donation again. You've donated before and you've just donated again, so thank you very much for the donation. It's going to go to a good cause, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. That's 3 times he's donated now. It's an over £300. Just want to give a big shout out to Jerry McKinnon. He is our operations director in America. He runs the America side of the Late Night Veteran Show, and he's doing a tremendous job. So big shout out to Jerry McKinnon. Thank you very much. Back to you, David.
Sorry to chuck David, but let's go back on track.
No. Keep chucking in good news.
Yeah, let's go.
Thanks, Jerry. And if you just bring up the next graphic, please, Darren, kind of summarizes that last point really around that.
This one?
Yes, please. So, that one, yeah. So if you feel triggered, and my fault, I put a spelling mistake in that, I noticed earlier. If you feel triggered, your first thought must be, is this happening now or is it something I've felt before? And it supports the previous learning. Now, this is an action. This is the action I spoke about a minute ago. It's got to be, is this happening now? Or is this something I felt before? Is this the current situation or is it something in my past? When it's just asking that question will start breaking that pattern before it builds too much. Cool, that can come down again, thank you. And also there's another recognition for something I'm going to demonstrate to you or give you all a chance to have a go at in a second. The triggers actually aren't the enemy, they're just signals. Some trigger stress, some trigger calm, some trigger focus. It's the same system, but there's a very different outcome. And remember, the problem isn't the trigger, it's the automatic reaction that you've attached to it. And when you change that reaction, you can change the experience. So when you change your reaction, you can change your experience to things happening around you or things that people say to you. So before I show you how to do that, I'd like you to write this next learning down. So on the next slide, please, mate, is that you sitting at home tonight or wherever you're watching this, you can't remove the triggers that you've got. Actually, on a one-to-one basis, when we work with clients, we do. But here tonight, sorry, bad news, you can't remove the triggers. But importantly, you can retrain them. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the next half an hour. So you can't remove triggers, but there is a very cool way that you can retrain them. And actually, if you could just bring up the next image as well, please, Darren, because here's another action for you. I'd like you to choose one trigger that you know you've got. Like I said, it could be if someone criticizes you, if it's a noise that you hear. It could be a smell. If you smell something and it takes you back to a time and it makes you feel anxious, or it might make you feel calm. But I'd like you to think of a trigger that you know. And the good thing is, because you're doing this by choice right now, it isn't actually going to trigger anything. But I'd like you to think of something that you know typically puts you in a very bad mood, whether it's angry, sad, frightened, guilty, hurt, whatever. A trigger that gives you a very negative emotion. And I'd like you to decide now, and I'm going to pause for about 10 seconds. I'd like you to decide now your new calm response to that trigger. What is it that you are going to respond to now? How are you going to respond to that trigger that you used to have? So for me, years ago, far too many years ago, when I was in my mid-20s, I had terrible road rage. I used to get really angry with people. I'd be the guy doing the hand signs, flashing the lights, beeping. And I decided years ago that my new calm would be to laugh and go, it didn't hit my car, nobody's hurt, what an arse. And that's what I do now. I just stay calm and go, I just go, no one's got hurt, my car's fine. That guy's life must be crap if he needs to drive like a lunatic like that. So I had a trigger that I didn't like, which was I got angry, very angry with road rage. And for the last 30 odd years, all I do now is just laugh. And when you've decided what your new calm response is going to be, this is where you need to trust me. I want you to rehearse it over and over and over and over again in your mind. Remember, you're rehearsing the thing that you want, actually the thing that you want and how you want to react. Remember, all of your habits and your reactions are on an unconscious level. You train your unconscious with repetition, doing something over and over again. I overuse this example, but it's the best one out there. If any of you have learned to drive, most of us will probably have learned to drive, whether it's a manual car or an automatic car. When you first learned to drive, it was awkward and clunky. You had to think where your arms were going, where your feet were going, where your mirrors were, where you looked at stuff. And then once you've done something for a year, you've driven for a year, now you do it completely unconsciously. And yeah, I forgot, of course, Gareth, we've got a driving instructor.
Yeah, I'll just jump in there quickly. You said about reacting, right? So when I first became a driving instructor, I was stressed. Like, you've got to look at their feet, you've got to look at their eyes, you've got to look at their hands, you've got to look at what's going on around, what they're doing, everything. And when they first curb your alloys, it's like, in your head. But you can't turn around and be in their head towards them. It's a mistake that they've made, and you've got to allow it to happen. Again, going back to that reaction, how do I react to that? Do I kick off with them? That's not going to be a nice positive learning experience. So I'm able to manage that reaction inside myself and just be like, okay, my alloys. Do you know what?
There's a really cool thing with this, because actually that's a great question. It's a great question for so many different reasons. There's this phrase in life that is very wrong. So for years, you'll all have heard things like, you should always treat people like you want to be treated. Well, that's crap.
Yeah, agreed.
Because what the phrase should be, you treat people the way they want to be treated. Why would I be so egotistic that I would treat everyone the way I want to be treated? So in answer to your point there, Gareth, Do you know what is a really cool thing? I bet no driving instructors on the planet do this. But if you said to the people coming in to learn with you, you're going to do some amazing things. You're going to make mistakes because everybody does.
Yeah.
If you were to make a mistake, how would you like me to deal with you?
Yeah.
And ask them. Ask them. Because actually, some people will go, I want you to be really direct, tell me what I got wrong, and we can move on. Absolutely. And some people will be nice to me, because if you're hurtful, I'll lose concentration.
Well, I naturally pick up that anyway with the vibes of the people I get with, because you build a rapport.
Yeah.
And you understand what they need, how they learn, or what they need to learn. And I get a lot of feedback going, why are you not shouting at me? Why, I've hit your car, I've scratched the car. And I'm not just like, I'm just so chilled out about it. I'm like, okay, well, it's a work start.
There's a really weird thing where actually some people might like it if you were to shout at them.
Yeah, that's true. Military, we love it. If we fucked up, because that's what we used to say, you take on the chin. We used to say, take on the chin, walk into sergeant majors and get absolutely roasted, and then it's done. It's finished.
The biggest problem with most leaders on this planet, you'll have experienced them in the army or Navy or RAF, whatever, any service, is that, and I see it a lot in industry as well, is that most leaders have one way of leading people.
Yeah.
And actually, what they never do is lead individuals. They lead the way that they would like to be led, not how their teams would like to be led. And when you can nail that, then people become more motivated. In the mental health arena, for what we're saying now, if you've got somebody who's struggling, and actually, I think there was a question that came in that will relate to this, and I'll address it later. But if you've got somebody that's left the army and they need a kick up the backside, you know this, and everyone watching will know this, that you know that there's a bloke or a lady out there that needs for F's sake, mate, what are you doing? Get off your arse and get out there and find a job. Get out of the house, do this. Yeah. Equally, you'll know there are people that need the arm around the shoulder and going, I'm with you with this, I'm here, I'll help you with this. And if you get it wrong, you change nothing or potentially change it for the worse.
Yeah.
Because if you get it wrong with somebody, they can go lower. So I think that's why it's such a great question you ask, because there's that whole thing about is actually don't just treat someone. If I do something wrong, I like a very, very, very direct feedback. I want to know straight away. Tell me what I did, what was wrong. I'll change it. Equally, one of my very best friends, if somebody did that to him, it would destroy him.
Yeah.
He wants somebody to go, well, how did you think that went? And what could you do better next time, do you think? And it's like, no, just tell me and get it over with. Because if you do it the other way and ask me how it went and what can I do better, I'll get bored and irritated.
Yeah, that's true. I get some of my students, so I have to let them make mistakes. My family go, why did you let them indicate for so long? Why did you let them go so fast? I get some of my students, we're doing roundabouts, for example, 60 miles an hour towards a roundabout. They've got to get a certain routine done before they get there. And the main effort is clearly slow down so they can make a decision. And then they go around quite fast. And I let them approach a roundabout like 40 miles an hour. And they're panicking, they're sweating. Obviously, I've got a break. I'm looking at what's going on. Like, they're going to hit the roundabout, they're not. And I let them do it. And I turn around. I don't actually tell them what they did wrong. I say, how did that feel? How did it feel? And they go, oh, well, I was sweating. I feel like I need some tissue because I'm going to cry, or I need to wipe something. And it's just like, okay, so what we're going to do next time is we're going to do something different. What do you reckon we should do next time? Like, slow down. They literally come back with the answer. They discover it for themselves.
You need to be a little bit careful. You might be training 18,000 better, driving instructors, mate. You'll be building competition for yourself.
No, it's absolutely. We all talk. We're all friendly anyway to each other. You know what I mean? We're all students going out on tests and stuff. So we all give each other hints and tips. So it's perfect.
And that whole kind of, and also, even in the current world, in whatever environment you find yourself in now, if somebody gets triggered by someone shouting at them, because all their life they've had people shouting at them, you could shout at them about something completely trivial, and the reaction you get, you go, well, that's completely out of proportion.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not to them, because that they're reacting based on past experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it is important to know that actually you can't remove the triggers, but you can retrain them. Like I said, choose one trigger this week and decide what you want your new response to be. It's important that you say about what you want it to be, not what you don't want, but what you want that response to be. And the whole kind of the whole triggering thing and the anchoring or being triggered by something in real psychology, it's called anchoring, but it's called triggering in mainstream, is that, and I just want to tell you a story. It's an absolutely true story. It's a lovely story. I love telling it. I tell it regularly in different forums. When I was growing up, my mum, when I was a kid, like 7 or 8, my mum and dad worked full time, and my nan came to live with me as my mum's mum. She was a real East Londoner. She taught me how to play poker when I was 8 years old. And one of my favourite times with her, on a Friday, I'm talking like 50 years ago, a lorry used to come around with Corona and deliver fizzy drinks. And every Friday, my nan would go out there and buy 7 bottles of cream soda. And me and her, just us two, not my mum and dad, just us two would drink a bottle a day through the school holidays. And the following week, you give the bottles back and you got 2p back on the bottle or whatever. And she'd buy another 7. And I'd forgotten all about that for about 30 or 40 years. And I've got 3 daughters. And a few years ago now, when they were smaller, they're in their 20s now, we went into the co-op and I just looked at the shelf and I went, oh, Christ, girls, there's cream soda over there. And they'd never even heard of it and said, what is it? And I went, oh, it's just like lemonade with a big dollop of ice cream. And they kind of went, oh, it sounds sickly. I went, I love it. So I bought 6 cans. And when we got home to the kitchen, I opened a can of this cream soda and it got about as close as that. And I started crying my eyes out. And my oldest daughter just went, oh, Dad, what's the matter? You know, what's the matter? And I went, nothing. I said, these are really happy tears, because just the smell of it that I hadn't experienced for 40 odd years, I hadn't drunk it. Just the smell took me back to being an 8-year-old, feeling loved, cared for, safe, nurtured, and being in a completely calm and safe environment. And it would be suffice to say that now, and this again is absolutely true, this is now probably 12 years after that, I've got 24 cans of cream soda in the fridge right now. Nice. It's now my favorite drink. And not only do I enjoy the taste, every single time I open a can, I feel loved, and it takes me back to that time without consciously thinking about it.
So you can go back to past memories, those memories that we're talking about, like the triggers and the response that natural response you have, can actually be like a happiness response, a positive.
They're good.
When I was in Poland, my last night there, I had a feeling that I've not felt for a long time, and it came and it hit me really hard. And you think I'm going to say something negative, but I'm not. I literally just pure joy and happiness. I was crying because I was crying, and I didn't know what to do with it. It was so like
I did the same with you.
So weird. It was so he's been crying to me and stuff and all sorts, and it's just
but
like, what is that? Like,
we're going to do a demonstration. It'll be amazing if we get 18,000 people to do it this week. We're going to do a demonstration in a second where you're all going to do this in a nice way that will help you in the future. And that's why I tell the story, because everyone, as soon as you say triggers, everyone goes, oh, they're horrible. Oh, triggered. No, you've got some amazing triggers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got some amazing. Here's one more I've got is I'm not religious, but my mum was reasonably religious, and she bought me this cross when I was 18. And I'm not religious. I've taken this off once in my life when I had to have an operation on my neck. And I begged the surgeon to let me keep it on. I said, tape it up. You know, I had to take it off. So people often go to me, are you religious then? No, but every time I sit here and do that, I feel all the love and warmth that I had with my mum.
Yeah.
And it's just, sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it because it's all unconscious. I could be having a bad day or feeling a bit angst about something. And I'll just be sitting there and I'll just realize and go, oh, because it's like my calming mechanism. That's my trigger or my anchor to make me feel calm and loved again.
Positive reaction. Yeah.
So we're gonna train one of those in for you. We're gonna train you how to do that. So, and the thing with timing with all of this is quite important. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do is, by the time you've finished, you'll have about 8 learnings and about 4 actions. The actions just go off and do. The learnings, because timing is so important, I'd like you just to read through those first thing in the morning when you wake up, sometime during the day, and last thing before you go to bed. Yeah. The last thing before you go to bed is because when you go to sleep, your unconscious stays awake. Consciously you sleep, that's why we dream, have nightmares, because our unconscious is churning away. So you're going to read these learnings before you go to sleep so that it's churning them away unconsciously, learning them while you're asleep. In the morning, you're going to read them again, because then that's going to join your unconscious and conscious together. Yeah. And then in the middle of the day, you're just going to do it to give yourself a bit of a top up and just reinforce through action. So we're about 2/3 the way through. All these learning points, please, that you're writing down. have that repetition before you go to bed, as you wake up, and at some point during the middle of the day. Because change doesn't, like I said, change doesn't come just from understanding, it comes from repetition at the right times. So the learning point 6, if you can bring up the next image, please, Darren, is that, and also, I know, this one will do, thank you, is what you repeat becomes how your mind operates. And I could, just to explain, I could quite easily have not produced these slides. I could have just explained it to you, like, and you could hear my voice and you could hear it. But now you're getting this in 3 ways. You're getting each learning in 3 ways. You're hearing me say it, you're reading it on the screen right now, and you're writing it down. Remember, it's all about repetition, repetition, all the time. So what you repeat will become how your mind operates. So the action from that, on the next image, please, Darren, the action from that, as I kind of alluded to, is just read all your notes, read these learnings. These learnings you're writing down, it's going to take you about 2 minutes every morning and every night. Read them every morning, read them around midday to give yourself a boost, and then just before bed every day. And when you start noticing a difference, this is really important. Still keep reading them. Just keep reading them for as long as you want to start to feel better and to start getting rid of some of the angst that you might be feeling. Cool. Okay, that can come down again. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna give, potentially, this will be the biggest anchoring session ever. We should get onto the Guinness Book of Records. If we can get 18,000 people to create an anchor, this will be so cool. A positive anchor, a positive trigger. So remember, your brain is always linking things. What's happened, how you feel, and what your body does. And over time, that becomes one pattern. Actually, I'll put that on an image as well. Can you bring up the next image, Dan? Because this will help understand what we're about to do. So what we're going to do now is, that top line is what most of us experience. We have a trigger or an anchoring smell, taste, sound, touch, whatever, in 5 senses. It triggers us as we say it. That creates an emotion, and then actually that forces us, we think, to react. Now, anchoring can break that. So what we're going to move to is that same trigger can happen, but now you're going to choose the state and you're going to choose the response. So rather than being led by emotion, we're going to pattern break it and give you an anchor. And that anchor means it will give you the freedom that when that trigger happens again, because remember earlier on I asked you to think of one and how you'd like to react differently. When that trigger happens again, you'll be able to choose your state and choose the response you give to it without the baggage of history. That can come down again. Thanks, mate. And this is not relaxation. This is not stuff you can go and get online about 4 seconds deep breathing through the nose and 6 seconds out through the mouth and find 5 things to see and name, 4 things to touch, 3 things to touch. It's not, go and get all of that, because actually some of it might just work.
I found that stabilized me, Miles. Sorry, David.
Yeah.
It's stabilized me. It's got me focused. It's got me in a line. It's got me working. It's got me back. Like my purpose is there. My life is better. But now I'm just like, now what's the next stage? I still sometimes fall back and then pick myself back up and fall back. And I'm just. Well,
in about 3 weeks, we're going to have a really nice experience, and that sounds vaguely weird between us two saying that, but with me and Gareth,
I've actually booked in to do David's program.
So myself and Gareth are actually going to do some work. So it'll be really cool. You'll be able to talk to him in another episode and see how he got on. Yeah, I know how he'll get on because I've spoken to him a few times.
I'm just going to see what happens. Yeah,
it's going to be amazing. So here we go. You're going to have a go at this. Okay, this is 18,000 people sitting there with their eyes closed, looking at me, or not looking at me. Okay. So what I'd like you all to do is I'd like you to think of a moment in your life where you can remember being calm and in control. Now, it doesn't matter whether it was today, yesterday, or 10 years ago, because you haven't always had this feeling of anxiety or PTSD or stress. I know you haven't, because it's a fact you were not born with it. So there is a moment in your life. So if you feel comfortable to, you could just close your eyes down and just think of a real moment you've had in your life of calm and control. And I'd like you just to enjoy that second for a moment. And now what I'd like you to do is imagine yourself.
It gets emotional.
I'd like you to imagine yourself stepping back into your body again and reliving that moment. So I want you just to drop down into that calm, happy, safe moment and just step back into it and see what you see what you see, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt, that calmness and safety. And look at everything through your own eyes. You do it really well, Darren. Just look at everything through your own eyes. This is calm. Remember, this is all positive. It's calm, safe, that memory of being calm and safe. And just enjoy it, and just enjoy it. It's a happy, calm feeling. And now I would actually just slow your breathing down a little bit. So it's all right if you want to step out, that's fine. You're doing really well. But just breathe slowly, 4 seconds through your nose and 6 seconds out through your mouth. And just relax the muscles and just make that calm state feel stronger in your body. And then all I would ask you to do is, at that moment of you feeling calm, is just apply a physical action. And the most common one is to get this finger, your middle finger and your thumb. So if you have got your eyes closed out there watching, just get your middle finger and your thumb. And as you've got your eyes closed and you're reliving that calm moment, and you've noticed that kind of calmness settling in, is just squeeze those two fingers together quite firmly and hold it. And as you're feeling calm, just push the two fingers together and just hold those two fingers together and just squeeze tightly. And actually, only when you know, when your unconscious tells you that that feeling of calmness and safety is stored into these two fingers, this motion of joining these two fingers, only when it feels right, and that could take 5 seconds or 30 seconds. But when your unconscious tells you it's stored that calmness in that sensation of those two feelings, it'll just feel right. And you'll know you can just release them and open your eyes.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
Something happened.
That was impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. And because if you think about what you've just all experienced
that was like magic.
Everybody, if you imagine a bad trigger or a bad anchor is what you've just done, but we're doing it nicely by taking you to a really calm place and a happy place and getting yourself back into that body, back into being that 8-year-old that I was with my nan drinking cream soda, whatever it was. And the really weird thing is for all of you now is just if you just notice something else, so you almost like break the state. I'm going to say a really weird thing to everybody. Can anybody smell popcorn? But one thing I know is that 18,000 people now have just laughed or gone, what's he talking about?
Yeah. But they can smell it.
I wanted you to forget. No, if you smell it, then I'm better than I think. But I wanted you to forget what we've done. Because what I'd like you all to do now is, you don't have to close your eyes now. But what I'd like you to do is squeeze those two fingers together again and see how quickly you get that calm feeling back. And that calm feeling is stored in that motion now. And it won't go.
No, seconds.
We actually put it there.
That is mad.
And the really cool thing is the more times that you do that, the stronger that calm feeling will get. So practice sillily doing that. That now gives you absolute, I was nearly going to swear, control over a trigger. Because when you recognize that trigger coming now, and I'm going to finish off with 3 R's that you can do, but when you recognize that, doing that breaks the pattern of the trigger and will keep you calm. And remember, practice it, install it. The more you do it. When I was trained on this stuff 20 years ago, a guy installed an anchor on that knuckle, which was the funniest joke I've ever heard to cheer me up. So every time now, I'm not going to do it because I'll just start laughing. Even 20 years later, I touch that knuckle and I'll start laughing. So you've got that feeling of calmness now anchored in there. And the more you practice it, the more you push them together, repeat and repeat, the more you do it, the stronger that feeling will get. And you can use that when things are just becoming a little bit overwhelming for you.
So David, just a quick question, because I'm quite a conscious person, as you know from our conversations. Now, I was imaging me on the beach 4 hours ago. That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't going deep back into the past. I was running up and down the beach. I did half an hour run up and down the beach. And I did sprints. And when I'd finished, I just sat there. I literally just sat there and cooled down, off. That was a moment for me. Now, I practice that all the time. I'm always looking for those moments in life. And I think that's what keeps me steady.
Do
I need to go further back, or do I, that's my question. Do I need to think about further back, or is it like, is that?
No. It's for anything you're going to do it's like quite often when I'm demonstrating this to people, I'll say things like, right, just think of the happiest time of your life.
Yeah.
That happiest moment. And a lot of people go to when maybe children were born, or when they got married, or they met somebody, or they had an experience, whatever it is. And it absolutely doesn't matter whether it was yesterday or 30 years ago. As long as you can remember the feeling that you had, that's important.
Yeah. See, it's funny because I said about Poland, and I said about my last day in Poland, and I cried with happiness. That's not what I thought about. I thought about today. I thought about 4 hours. Why did I do that? Like, why did I not go for the most extreme happiness?
Well, your life's in a very different place now. So actually, you've got a lot more calmer and happier moments to think of than
my God.
than you did years ago. So that makes perfect sense, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next image is just a kind of a learning about what we've just done. So if I could just bring up the next image, please, Darren. It's just, that's what we've done. So I wanted to put this on the screen for you so that if you didn't get a chance to experience it, or you want to have a go later, they're the steps that we take. So step one, we recreated that positive state of calm. And all you got to do is think of a time when you know you absolutely felt calm and safe. Make that feeling stronger, just go, and by that, remember I'm saying about just close your eyes, imagine yourself almost floating back in time, going back into your body, seeing what you saw, hear what you heard, feel that feeling, relive it again through your own eyes so you can see everything, feel everything as if it was happening to you now. And at that height of when you're feeling calm and safe, create that physical action of joining your thumb and that finger together. When your unconscious tells you it's stored that in there forever, then release it, and you'll just know it's the right time. Like I said, it could be 5 seconds or a minute, whatever. And then keep repeating that and keep noticing how calm you feel. And you can use that then to replace an old reaction. You can use that when you think of the exercise I gave you earlier about think of a trigger that you react to now that you don't like. What would you like it to be like? You got that now in literally in the power of your hands, or the power of those two fingers. Thanks, that can come down again, mate. And actually, I think if you bring up the next one as well, because I just want to explain this before I kind of just go through the summary of it, is that remember, this is really another learning for you to write down, please. A trigger can only control me if I always let it lead to the same response. Yeah. So even in the space of an hour, and we've been going at this for about 50 minutes, but in that space of time, you've now got enough of an understanding and one technique that will break that pattern. So here's the deal. If tomorrow you get triggered and you respond angrily, or you get upset or cry, or whatever that response is that you don't like, then I'm sorry, it's down to you now, because you've got those two fingers together that you can have a go at that will actually stop it leading to the same response. So that trigger can only control you, if you always let it lead to the same response. And the action from that, which is the next image, please, is just this week, just interrupt and change one small pattern this week. With everything we've been through, just notice it. Notice when the pattern's coming, that it's just a repeated pattern from the past. Notice when it's coming, interrupt it, and just one small one this week, change this thing this week. And here's the summary of how you do that. So the first thing, and it's on the next slide, please, mate, is 3 R's. It's really easy to remember. I tried to make this as easy as possible. These are the 3 R's. So the first thing is recognize. So the first thing is catch the early signals that you're going to spiral. Catch the early signals that something's triggered you and you're feeling like crap. Don't wait for the reaction. Don't wait for the build-up. I'd like you to give it a name as well. I'd like you to give that trigger a name, and I'd like you to label it, but I want you to call it something that you hate in your life, that you do not want in your life. Silly one for me, but when I used to do this and I had a couple of triggers, I always used to use mustard. So I stopped talking about triggering or mental health issues. All I said to people was, I got this mustard thing going on, I've got to get rid of. Because every time I said that, my unconscious and my conscious said, I don't want mustard in my life. I don't like it. And it gives it another learning that actually it's something that you do not like. So recognize it, catch the early signals, label it, call it something you hate. The next element is the reframe. And I've covered this before. Break the certainty of things. So ask yourself, actually, what else could this mean? My heart's starting to palpitate. I'm getting hot. I'm getting sweaty. What else could this mean? And more importantly, is this about now, the real situation, or is it about before? And if it's about now, because you just noticed a lion running at you down Romford High Street, then you peg it out of there. But if you realize that it's from before, that gives you permission to calm down. And not only that, now you can replace it because you can pause, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, change how you're sitting or you're standing, because that helps as well. If you change your posture, that changes the state. And now you've got the two fingers to join together to fire that anchor off. So you can recognize it early, reframe it into what it really is, i.e. something based on the past, and then you can replace it by changing your breathing, changing your body position, and squeezing those two fingers. That's actually rewiring your brain. That's rewiring the unconscious and teaching it something new. That can come down now again. And
Can I just chime in there quickly, if that's all right?
I beg your pardon?
Can I just quickly say something?
Yeah, of course you can.
The recognize, like if I go back to that scenario, you've just come out of the military, you're going into civilian employment, and then your boss is completely angry with you, you messed up.
Yeah.
You're recognizing that's a threat to you. So in the military, that's a threat. You're going to hit a threat with violence or with whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you recognize that actually you're no longer, that's in the past. Now you need to behave slightly different, or clearly.
And also, you're right, sorry, Gareth, to interrupt, but also recognize that feeling when you're going,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's early, recognize it.
Yeah,
Don't accept it, recognize it.
And then name it, label it, and then reframe it. As go, actually, hang on a second, that's in the past. I'm now working at Tesco's or whatever.
Yeah.
And go,
So give it a name. So I'm going to disengage with loads of people now, but I support Arsenal, so I could call it Spurs.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, it's coming. Spurs is coming. Right, I know what to do. First thing is it something happening now, or is this about my past? Well, hold on. My boss just had a go at me because I dropped something and it broke.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not really as serious as me going under fire.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So actually, my reaction is about the past. Oh, okay. And when you tell yourself that, your unconscious will hear you because it listens to instructions. It will calm down anyway. And then you've also got that thing that says, I'm going to replace that feeling I used to get with what? Do your thing, squeeze your fingers, feel calm. And then the next time he shouts at you, your unconscious will just go, oh, actually, oh yeah, I remember now, I just stay calm.
But even while he's still shouting at you, because if you're able to do it quickly, you're doing it in the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. Is you're absolutely right. The key is to do it in the moment. It is that's the key to it. And I think the last slide I've got on there is kind of like the summary slide. The last image there, Darren, is when you change your response, everything kind of changes. That's and that's
so true.
It's the old is it the Einstein quote? If you carry on doing what you've always done, you'll get the same results. It's only and you will. It's when you change your response, that's when you're going to see some positive changes in your life.
Yes,
and that's it, guys.
Keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, you're going to go insane.
Yeah, and that can come down now. I mean, I guess I know that we've had a couple of questions coming in and stuff like that. So about the sleeping and stuff like that. So I'm quite cool. I'm also conscious that every time you get me on, I overrun.
Okay, so you want me to pull the questions up, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I've got a question here. If anybody's in the chat that wants to ask a question, there's plenty of people watching this live now. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. So our first question tonight is from Diane Muckney, and it's actually one of our ambassadors for Bedfordshire. She's doing a tremendous job. She's also the ambassador for the Gurkha Welfare Trust. So the question is, how do you cope of lack of sleep, clock watching, and anxiety about work? That's a question from Dan.
Okay. I get most people that I work with that have got some level of anxiety have some challenges sleeping. A couple of things. I'm just conscious of time. There is, most people think they have a sleep problem. Actually, they don't. What they actually have is a state of mind problem when they go to bed. If you've spent night after night clock watching, worrying about work, trying to fall asleep, lying there frustrated, then your brain starts to learn something very, very specific. And it's what we've just explained about anchoring. Because when you lay on the bed, your unconscious goes straight through to an anchor that says, okay, I associate bed now with being anxious, pressure, and being alert. And then guess what? You don't sleep because the brain doesn't respond to intention or what you want. It actually responds to patterns. And over time, your bed stops becoming a neutral place for sleep. So the work thing is we've covered around some of the things you can do around some anxiety measures. Like I said, when I work with people one-to-one, we just get rid of the anxiety about work completely. But I think there's some important things with that. If any of you are lying awake in bed, struggling to get to sleep and you're activated, don't stay in bed reinforcing it. You've got to get up. You've got to change rooms. You've got to change your posture. And you effectively interrupt that kind of neurological loop before it starts to strengthen itself. If you just keep laying there, tossing and turning, you're going to get more anxious. You need to, and it sounds counterintuitive. To get to sleep, you need to get up, change your room, go for a walk. And actually, when you begin to calm down a little bit, and when you actually made the cup of tea or you've read the paper or watched 20 minutes of telly, when you calm down, then go back to bed and do a couple of other things that I'll allude to. I think you need to get to a place where your bed equals calm, safety, rest, and not struggle. Here's a really cool thing you can do before you go to bed every night. We predict the future in our minds with images, sometimes movies, sometimes still pictures. All of our memories are stored pictorially. If I ask any of you what colour is your front door, you'll shout at the screen what colour it is, but I know to remember that you've had to see an image in your brain of your front door. If I ask you what your car registration is, I know you've all just seen your car with the registration plate and you've read the registration number off the front. And the way that the brain works, and that's the kind of science part of it, is whether you can see the image or not, if there is an image there that you're replaying. So before you go to bed, close your eyes down, and you would run a movie of what a good night's sleep is. Because if you think about it, your unconscious controls sleep. And at the moment, if you've been tossing and turning for the last 5 years, not sleeping, that believes it's what you want and it's helping you to achieve that every night by being anxious. And just run a video of 8 hours, speed it up really quickly, seeing you tossing and turning in bed and actually watching yourself getting the best night's sleep to the point of actually getting into bed, falling asleep quickly in the movie, tossing and turning maybe, but staying asleep, wake up in the morning and feeling refreshed. And you run that video 5, 6, 7 times quickly before you go to bed, because you need to retrain your unconscious initially that actually what it's been doing before is not helpful. And this is what you want. We learn by imaging more than anything else. And I think apart from anything else there's that. I would absolutely get rid of every clock in your bedroom. The worst thing you can do is you lay in bed, you're not sleeping, you keep looking at the clock thinking, I go to bed at 10, I've got to get up at 6, I've got 8 hours of sleep. At 2 in the morning, you're still awake, you're looking at it going, oh, I've only got 4 more hours, And you go, I might as well stay awake now, What's the point? Get rid of all the clocks. If you wake up in the middle of the night, then go back, just go, oh, and if you need a wee, go for a wee, whatever, go back to bed and go back to sleep. If you've set an alarm, then it will just come on and it'll wake you up.
So with me, David, I sometimes do that, okay? I go to bed, I try to go to bed about 10. And obviously the phone, try and get rid of it, turn it off, literally turn it off. Don't leave it on silent because it's still on, it's still there unconsciously, it's still there. And I'm sometimes awake till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've got to get up. I've got to get up and teach people. What I've learned to do, instead of I appreciate what you just said, get up and get out of that room and don't associate that. But I just lie there now and go, do you know what? I might not be asleep, but I'm resting.
Perfect.
I've reframed it, and I'm just going, do you know what? I'll just rest. I'll just rest for an hour, and then before you know it, I actually do nod off. I don't know if that's like a bit of advice.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I do anyway.
No, I would listen. I'm very honest about everything. I might have had a little sneak preview of that question. I might have prepared something. I'm not going to get a chance to go through it all, but one of the things absolutely in there is reframing the mindset, which is you're not going to bed to sleep. You're going to bed to rest.
Yeah, totally.
And actually, if you just laid there for 8 hours resting, you would still feel more refreshed in the morning. Nowhere near as good as sleep, but you would still feel refreshed. And do you know what? When you go to bed with that intent of just resting rather than sleeping, you'll relax and you'll fall asleep. So I think that there are many, many things. I think if anybody out there is struggling, I've got a cheat sheet around sleeping. And with my email address was on there, DRMJ Consulting, or you can contact me through Facebook. Wherever you are in the world, I'll happily send you the cheat sheet. And if it helps you, then I'll be thrilled. And you can let me know or let the guys know. And I'm conscious of time. There are about 12, 13 things on this cheat sheet. We've covered 3. But I think if you're genuinely having problems sleeping, drop me an email, drop me a message on Facebook, and I'll happily send it over to you.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I think there was one other question. I think there was another question.
Yeah, Gareth, far away.
So, Jerry McKinnon, question: how do I get a mate that's open up to him about PTSD to go to agree to go and get help? Basically, that's what it looks like. Just reading it again. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great.
To agree to, and then actually follow through with taking to talking to a proper therapist. Because people come to me, right, and they go, "I need a bit of help," and this person's got a bit of this going on, a bit of that going on. But what I've kind of gathered is why have they gone via someone? If they've gone via someone, they're not. But again, over to you, David.
I think there's a few things with that. I mean, I've experienced that quite a lot with people. There's a few things. One is people have got to be ready for this. People have got to be ready to get some help, and they've got to really want it, and they've got to want it for themselves, not for their parents, not for their spouses or boyfriends, girlfriends, or kids, whatever. They've got to want to do it, and they've got to want to do it for themselves. And maybe they're not there yet. And I am very proud and without ego saying that every single client I've worked with for 20 years has got better. Every single one. But I am a bit of a cheat because I will not see somebody if I don't believe they want to get better for themselves. Because if you don't want to get better for yourself, and you don't really, that's an obsession, like I said on one of the graphics you showed earlier, then whatever therapy you go for won't work. Because you've got to want this for yourself. And the real tough love with this is if people won't get help, this is what I would suggest you do or say to them. And this can be quite antagonistic, but I do it with every client. I ask them, what are you getting out of this? This problem, what is it that you're getting out of it that you don't want to relinquish? What is it you don't want to give up about being anxious or self-harming or having PTSD? And people go, I've had people get quite aggressive with me and I won't give it up. And I go, no, I'm not giving up with this until you tell me what it is you're getting out of it, because you wouldn't be doing it unless you're getting something out of this. And very quickly, there's one quick story. I worked with a 26-year-old. She was a veteran, Army veteran. She only did 2 years. And as a result of PTSD, she had anorexia and she was getting fed through a tube in hospital twice a week because she wasn't eating at home. Her parents were absolutely beside themselves. She was absolutely killing herself through not eating. And I went and met her, and I asked her that question, and I said, what is it you're getting out of this? And she went, don't be stupid. I know what I'm doing. I just don't know why I'm doing it. I know I'm hurting myself. I know eventually I'm not going to be here. But if I could stop, I would. I went, well, tell me what you're getting out of it. And after she swore at me about 4 or 5 times, I went, this is all very cool. I just said, I don't care. I'm quite thick-skinned. I don't give a shit about that. Just tell me what you're getting out of it. And then I said, right, now shut up. I'm just asking you're unconscious. I said, you're unconscious. Tell me what you're getting out of it now. Mm. And she blurted out, I love winding up my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And she started crying her eyes out.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, okay. And she went, can you help me now? And I went, yeah. Because all her life, she'd enjoyed winding her mum and dad up. What better way of winding up your mum and dad than actually them worrying that you're not going to be here anymore? Yeah. So she was getting things like attention. Maybe people that don't want to get better now is because they're getting financial benefits somehow through the state, whatever. Might be getting more cuddles from their partner. They're getting more love. In her case, she found it fun that she was winding up her mum and dad unconsciously. That was that. Maybe they don't have to work. They've got to be ready to address that thing that they're getting out of it, even if they don't like it, that they don't like admitting it. And the last thing really, I guess, is that just be really wary of I always say the devil and the angel on your shoulder, because, excuse me.
It's your coughing today. It was Darren coughing last time.
I know, it's me. You've got a devil and an angel on your shoulder. It's that kind of a metaphor. And the devil is going, this is what your life's like. You can't get any better. And you're making the most of it. And you're getting money from the state. And you're not having to work. And, everyone's caring about you and asking after you and showing you a lot of attention. And the angel's here going, yeah, but you could be a lot happier if you just got yourself fixed, or we get ourselves fixed and lived a better life. So go and get some help. And the two are just arguing. And quite often people listen to the devil too much.
Louder.
And because they're getting something out of it, because they're feeling they're getting something out of it. And on here online, it's hard to, I'll be honest, it's not easy to shut the devil down online. But I think people need to be conscious that you have the two voices and you're going to choose which one you listen to. And listen to the one that says, actually, you can get better and heal and have a much better life.
Again, if I just quickly jump in there, you said about the recognize, frame and replace. Why don't you recognize you're listening to the devil, the mustard?
I think you can listen to the devil and
then reframe it.
Okay, so
is that like a thing?
When you go through some kind of trauma or you've had repeated kind of stresses or angst in your life, what happens is your unconscious, forgive me, this is going a little bit into psychology, 1016, but when your unconscious effectively splits and forms two parts. They both have the same intentions, keep you safe, keep you happy. They go about it in very different ways. This part goes off and says, I'm feeling shit, go and get me some help. I need to see a doctor or a therapist or something. I need to speak to my mum, my dad, a friend, whatever it is. I need some help. And the other part of your conscious that equally wants you to be happy and well says, no. You're enjoying not being at work. You're enjoying getting some benefit from the government or whatever financial thing. You're enjoying the attention you get from everyone that maybe you never used to get before you had this thing. And people seem to like you more and love you more. So keep going with that. They both want the same intent for you to be happy and safe, but they're going really wrong. So one of the techniques maybe we could do next time in a month or whatever, there's a technique that you use actually pulls the two back together again. But when you absolutely listen to, if you want to listen to the devil on your shoulder, absolutely. But recognize it has a good intent for you. Yeah. It's just gone wrong. It's just got it wrong. And the angel's the one that's got it right. They both want what's good for you because it's you, because it is you. Yeah. But they just split a little. Your unconscious has split a little and it's got confused. That's really interesting.
I had a conversation with someone, he's a psychotherapist who works in the VC Gallery, Dan, literally a brief conversation. And I was talking about a personal issue and I was seeing it as an anchor, but like a negative anchor. And he not convinced me, but he made me look at it in a different way. He said, actually, that's anchoring you in a good way. You need to you look at it in a different way. And I look at it now, I'm thinking, you know what? I think that's probably...
Look, I mean, listen, I'm a pretty confident guy. 10 minutes before I came on here, I still went for a nervous wee and went out because I'm thinking there's 18,000 people watching this, potentially. Yeah. So I want to give a good representation of myself. So, and then I still, after doing this stuff for over 20 years now, I've still got the devil and the angel, because the angel says, David, you're really good at this. You know what you're talking about. You've done this stuff for years. You've helped hundreds of people. Yeah. It's just a chat with two friends on a screen. Yeah. And then the devil's going, but what if this time this is the one where people go, you're crap? Yeah. What if this is the one where people go, you're rubbish at this stuff?
Well, I couldn't even read the question, you know what I mean? It's like, duh. But
yeah, well, so I still have that, but I've done this long enough that I just go,
but that's
I go like that. I go, nah. I've lost the devil. I go, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still there somewhere abouts. Everyone has it. It's just how you manage it and what you choose to listen to. Yeah. So you don't have to ignore it. Shut it up a little bit. I always say, just imagine like this devil's got one of these old TVs with a volume button that you twist on the other. Just turn the volume down on him and just go, thanks, but I don't need you now.
Well, as you know, you were already on when I was downstairs just before we went live. Darren was counting from 30 seconds. The kettle was boiling, and I was like, "I want coffee!" And I literally ran up the stairs quickly.
Made it within 3 seconds.
He was counting. That devil was counting. I was
So,
like,
for everybody watching this, I must tell you about these two guys who I love to bits. I think they're awesome human beings. These two guys, before we came on, Darren going, Gareth, hurry up, come on, we're on in 30 seconds, 29 seconds, 8 seconds. Yeah, 3 sugars. And I thought, he's desperate to get on, but not before I've had a cup of coffee.
Even best, I left his tea bag in his cup. I had to write on a piece of paper saying tea bag still in the cup, so we don't choke.
Don't choke on it.
Don't choke on it.
That's it.
But it's just like a quick minute. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's so much we could cover off. I mean, I hope people find this useful. Please do let Darren, Gareth, me know. And also, I think I'm back on in July. I think just maybe if there's something you want, something discussed on this, then please let the guys know, and we'll integrate it in. And any tips around other things you've done to help are really cool as well. Thanks, Joe.
Jeremy just put up saying that the demons knock louder. Well, they do, don't they? And if you listen to them more, you're going to have that negative effect on you. So it's about switching.
Well, if you think about it, it's like most things that everyone has heard. If people tell you through all your school and all your life that you're stupid, eventually you'll think you're stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you're not.
Being in the military as well, we get an annual report every year. And if you don't get promoted that year, you've been told, like 22 years, I got to sergeant, right? So I've been promoted 3 times. That's a long time of being told I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
No matter how good I was.
Yeah.
You learn. You are not good enough. You are not good enough. You are not good
And it's
enough.
about acceptance.
And it's just going, do you know what? Okay, cool. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
But you are.
And do you know what? And that's the key is actually, do you know what? It doesn't matter where you are in life and what you're doing. I've met a lot of people in my life that have got amazing houses, amazing cars, lots of money and all that kind of stuff. But the happiest person I've ever met in my life was a guy who lived opposite me. He's moved away now, unfortunately. We were really good mates. He lived in a 2-bedroom council house with his 2 kids living in 1 bedroom in bunk beds. He had no money. He worked in a garage, but he had enough money on a Friday night to go out with a few of us and have a few beers. And that was his escape from everything. And he was as happy as man I've ever seen. He had no big house, no big cars. The key is be happy. And sometimes you be happy with what you got, because sometimes we forget how lucky we are.
We are, yeah, totally. We do. We look at the negatives and we focus on the negatives, but actually, there's so much.
You guys have seen a lot more than I have around how lucky we are in a lot of ways. But
how much is that? Absolutely beautiful down there. Like, me running on the beach today was just like I had music in and I was singing while running. It was just like
I'm really jealous now.
I felt like heaven to be there, but it is what it is.
So I hope you found that useful, guys. I've overrun by 20 minutes as normal, but hey,
Yeah, it's fine. We can go over.
So I'm quite visual. So those slides that you put down, are you able to share them, like, so people can print them off?
Yeah.
Because that would be ideal.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Can you put? I'm happy for them all to go out if people want to use them. Yeah.
When it comes up and running, we'll put them.
Yeah, put them
on a slide board.
Yeah. And like I said, if anyone's got any questions about what we've done tonight, anything, just email me or contact me through Facebook. And I do have this annoying habit of replying to everyone who messages me, which takes too long. But hey, that's my email address down the bottom there.
So there's 3 actions that you said, David, this week. What did you say they were going to be? Can you do a quick recap? If possible?
No, because I can't remember them. Okay. But I do. There was 4. It's read. The main one is, and actually, in fact, the main one is that you've now got 8 learnings. I think it was every morning, every night, and once during the day. Read through those learnings just to reinstall them in your unconscious. Pick one thing that you've reacted badly to in the past, a trigger you've had in the past. Decide how you'd like to now react to it.
Yeah.
Rehearse that in your mind. So actually just rehearse that whole kind of someone saying something to you and you reacting calmly, or hearing the car backfire and remaining calm. And this week, have one occasion, if it arises, where you feel slightly triggered, and do that kind of recognize it, reinforce it, and then just reframe it and do your replace it, and do the squeezing.
Perfect.
It's unusual on these things to give people homework, but have a go.
Yeah, I like that. Recognize and reframe in place, because if you're doing that consciously, right at the time that you need to do it, it sets you steady. So.
Here it comes. Mustard's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it about now, or is it about something in the past? It's about something in the past. Squeeze your 2 fingers together and just get on with the rest of your day.
Condom moment, basically.
I like the comment Jerry's put in there. David is truly our 007, a license to heal.
Yeah,
Sorry.
A license to heal.
That wasn't my. That was just to put that in context for everyone watching. Is we've all got membership cards, and my membership card is number 007. So
just
there you go.
out of luck. We didn't plan that.
Didn't plan that at all. But,
I just wanted to read out a comment here that Daniel Andrew Hudson. I want to get the viewers involved. So acceptance is key, and you need to accept who you are. I struggle when I'm on my own, but when I'm in company, I accept that I am needed. We are needed.
Yeah, you are. There's a lot more to when you actually sit down and look. Every human being has. And there's a great comment. Thanks. Was it Daniel? Sorry, or Daniel?
I'll put it back up. Yeah, Daniel Andrew Hudson. We've had more interaction tonight, guys. So thank you very much.
I think that's it's a really good shout. And do you know what? We have human beings have a negative bias, so we remember all the stuff we crap at. I feel crap when I'm on my own, and I don't feel good when I'm on my own. What you've managed to do there, which is very cool, Daniel, is just go, actually, do you know what? That happens. But actually, when I'm around people, I'm really good, and they need me, and they want me around, and they like me around. We forget that. We tend to focus on the other side. Is always remember the good stuff as well.
Really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go over to. I've got a VE Day. It's VE Day today, the 81st anniversary. I'm just going to put this up whilst I read something out. So VE Day, remembering the courage and sacrifice and unity of a generation. Today we mark the 81st anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, a moment that changed the course of history forever. On the 8th of May, 1945, after years of devastating conflict, millions across Britain and the Allied nations celebrated the end of the war in Europe. Church bells rang out, streets filled with cheering crowds, and families embraced loved ones returning home. It was a day of relief, remembrance, hope, and a brighter future. But while the celebrations were unforgettable, VE Day was also built upon immense sacrifice. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, just we will, lest we forget, and we will remember them. So thank you very much for that. Gareth, do you have anything to say at the end of the show?
No, so I'm just obviously, David, thank you very much for coming on. I'm looking forward to actually meeting you in person and doing a bit of, therapy as such, but yeah, looking forward to doing that. And the conversations we've already had, I know we only spoke briefly for about an hour, maybe on the phone, but you've already made me look at things differently. Yeah. I've cried with happiness. I've recognized things within myself. I've recognized why I'm doing certain things. And I've recognised I'm doing it because of things in the past. And I'm thinking, do you know what? I said, I don't want that anymore. It's time. Literally, what you did, you just went, get off. Yeah. Just go away.
Absolutely brilliant.
And people do say life begins at 40. That is a phrase. I am 40. So
that's why I tell everyone I'm only 18 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely perfect. And obviously, like helping Darren come through it as well, it's helping me because I can see the effect I've had on him, but it's obviously had the effect on me as well.
Look at not just that as well, like with my PTSD, PTSD, whatever, childhood trauma and stuff like that. But look what I achieved when I said, I'm scared of heights. You made me sit on the edge of a cliff. The other day, you made me climb. I'm scared of heights. So he went up. I got like quarter way up and I was like, I'm not doing it. Absolutely.
Scarped down,
sat there.
So I recognised that was a negative experience for him. So I carried on going and leave him to it. I said, look, I'm going to come back down this way so you don't have to come back up. But before you knew it, within 5 minutes, Darren was at the top because he made a different choice. He recognised it.
I changed my mindset
with it, and he went, if you can do it, and those boys can do it, we're doing it.
Well, this is him. We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good.
You do. You're like Morecambe and Wise. That's too old. That's too old a reference for you.
He's forever telling me off to stop standing on the edge of the cliff and sitting on the rock. It's going to fall. It's going to fall. I'm looking at.
But when he's sat on the edge of a cliff and you see these rocks and they've got a crack there and then a crack there and they're about to fall.
Yeah, probably is a rodent.
Yeah.
I was terrified just when you filmed it at the bottom of it, looking up, let alone climb it.
I know it was steep. I wish I could get the pictures up, but maybe we can put it on next week. David, do you have any last words? Thank you for coming.
No, thanks everyone. All I say, if you're new to the show, come. They have some great people on every week. If you're new to me, thank you. And if you're not new to me, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for tuning in. David is part of our team. He's absolutely brilliant. We did our research before. And we had a chat before the show. We feel really lucky to have him on site. He's made us sheets up and paperwork for requirements, which has been really, really helpful. And we're glad to have him on board. So David's email is in the chat, guys, and in the comments. So please email him if you've got any questions. He will be on once a month, here or there. But he will be on once a month. So any questions for next show, please email us. Email them to David. We'll get them up on the StreamYard chat, and we'll fire them away.
And if you know of any veterans that actually like they're on that cusp of like asking for help, get them on this show. Get them watching the show. Get them watching 74. I think it was the last one, 77.
Yeah, it was.
Get them to watch what David's doing, how he's doing it, and get them to buy into it. Once they buy into it, like David said, they're going to buy into it. Yeah. That's the time when they can start to make
make
a positive progress.
Brilliant, guys.
Thank you, David. Cheers.
So
thank you all for the donations as well so far.
So again, to be the person you want to be, you need to obsess about making a positive change. That's David Miles, episode 77 of the Late Night Veteran Show, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. The talk's real, the chats are real, and the banters are real.
Nice one.
Good night, guys.
I pledged allegiance to the flag God stood beside me. I swore an oath to my countrymen and kin. Side by side we sang our anthem oh so proudly. And this is where a soldier's tale begins. We left for foreign shores in the name of freedom, comrades in arms for the liberty of man. Shoulder to shoulder, but still could not redeem them in God's name, but no one could understand.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.